9 days, 9 vlogs, no viewers. Perfect. For a long while now, I have suspected that YouTube had become the equivalent of just shouting into a void, where there are so many voices and none of them are heard. Evidently, mine is one, and I'm okay with that because, as I've said before, this is for me and not for anyone else. Still, no views. Oh, it's glorious. I'm trying out the new YouTube Capture app on the iPad today just to see how it works compared to what I had been doing, which was recording in iMovie, doing all the editing there, all on my iPad. And then I actually started using YouTube Capture to do the upload so that it went to the right channel, since YouTube introduced the whole one account, multiple channels idea, which I might add is brilliant. Yeah, I'm using the new app, seeing how it works today, if it's going to be an adequate replacement to the multiple app solution that I had been running. Otherwise, I'm just having one of those days where I just don't know what I'm doing, and that actually extends beyond just today. That extends to every facet of my life at the moment. I've been alluding to this for a number of days now. Could it be time to actually just delve in and face it head first? Okay. A few months ago, I made the decision to pack up my entire life, quit my job, and come to Canada. I'm a Canadian citizen, so I knew that getting, working wasn't an issue. I didn't have to stuff around with visas or anything. Really, the most I had to do was get my SIM card sorted out. And so I did it. I left my job. I had been working there for almost 11 years, across 5 stores. I moved stores many times. The longest I stayed in one place was 6 years. This was while I was in high school and then through my tertiary studies. I then became a member of management, and from that point on, I rarely stayed in the store longer than 12 months. In fact, there was only one instance where I did last more than 12 months before I was moved or promoted. Which was good to a degree. I mean, I kept seeing different stores, working with different people, learning different skills along the way. But I met a lot of people, I suppose, also. But I had to leave a lot of people behind, and I was fortunate enough that I was well enough liked that every time I left the store, I would have the staff demanding I come back. And I'm proud of that. But anyway, I digress. I had grown to hate my job. I got to the pinnacle of what I wanted to achieve with that company. Within store level, I became the store manager of one of the flagship stores, the biggest Southern Metro store in Victoria. And I was then put under immense pressure, and after about 6 months, it just reached that point where I just couldn't take it anymore. So I stepped down, and it's a decision that I both regret and am relieved I made. I stepped down and moved another 2 stores through in the next, I was in 3 stores across 2.5 months. But I learned a lot that had been overlooked in that time, and I was one of the most cynical members of staff across the company, I believe. But I wasn't happy. Well, I wasn't happy with what I was doing, so it was with great joy that I handed in my resignation. And it all kind of beautifully lined up with my plans to come over to North America for VidCon, which was a lot of fun. YouTube is something that I have a great interest in beyond simply posting these videos. And, well, I figured, what the hell? Go to Anaheim for VidCon, visit my family in Vegas, and then make my way up to Vancouver to start a new life. I stayed in Vegas longer than I really intended to, and then I actually took a stop in Jasper to visit my family there and to try and burn off some of the weight I'd put on in Vegas. But I arrived into Vancouver and started looking for work. I've been here for almost 2 months now, and admittedly there's been times that I've just stopped looking for work altogether, just because it was starting to do my head in. I was throwing out applications here, there, and everywhere and getting nowhere. Absolutely nowhere. The most response I've gotten has been just an acknowledgement letter, and obviously I didn't fit the criteria. So I stopped looking because I just couldn't do it anymore. And then I changed tact a little bit and just went, okay, I'm just going to keep an eye on it, and if something comes up, brilliant. If not, then I have to reassess things. Well, nothing's come up yet, and now I'm caught between a rock and a hard place. I have two options, basically. I stick this out, I throw all caution to the wind, and I try to make this work here, or I go back to Australia, I go back to Melbourne. I have a return fare that is fast approaching. I only have accommodation locked in until the end of November, so I have to make a decision soon as to what I'm doing, where I'm living, even on just a temporary basis. And the uncertainty has for a long time been exciting. It's been a relief. Not like having the future unwritten's been good, but it's now becoming terrifying because I really just do not know what I should be doing, where I should be going. The path is unwritten, and as much as I still like that, I just don't know. I really just don't know. I mean, part of me has already made the decision I'm going back to Melbourne. Going, yes, you're going back. And from there you can start a business and, do all these things you want to do. The other part of me is saying that is the easy way out. That ultimately, if I stay here, it could be more rewarding. I'm just kind of lacking motivation to be anywhere. I just need to find a millionairess that can keep me. I mean, I love this city. I love Vancouver. But I love Melbourne too. And the fact that I'm living in Yaletown at the moment, right in the heart of Vancouver, I mean, I'm kind of spoiled here. Because it is such a beautiful place, and I don't know if I'm going to enjoy being here as much if I'm out in the suburbs or anywhere less than where I am. And there's no way I can possibly afford to stay here as it stands. I mean, I've looked at the rent prices. They're stupid. The purchase prices on these apartments is astronomical. Like, I mean, it makes sense, but at the same time, it's just, no one can live, like, very few people can live here. I mean, it's not fair. Obviously, everyone would want to live here. I mean, I certainly do. But yeah, I just don't, and I don't want to. I think, like, I can probably force my way into a job at minimum wage, but I don't know if I want to take orders from someone else again. I don't know if I want to be working for someone else. Like, I throw everything I have into my work, and I've been ripped off. I've been paid under what I'm worth. I've worn myself down to the bone. I burnt myself out for the last company I worked for multiple times. That was part of why I stepped down, because I burnt out. I just totally hit the end. I mean, that year, the stock take, I worked over 3 weeks straight, no days off. The week of the stock take, I worked 4 14-hour days and one 12 or 13-hour day. I mean, it was absolutely, I was loopy by the end of it. I lost a part of my soul that day, that week. Anyway, so I don't know what to do, and I don't really know who to talk to about it. I suspect I've got one person here that knows where I'm coming from, to a degree. But, yeah, it's just tough, man. I just don't, I'm just going to keep reiterating, I don't know what to do. I keep hoping the path will reveal itself to me, that the right decision will present itself, but I don't know that there is a right decision. I think there's just two decisions, and I have to make one of them. Of course, I can always go back to Melbourne, regroup, and come back again, but there's a point where I'm going to have to concede and move on to another stage of my life, I guess is one way to look at it. I'm very much okay being out of sync with most of my friends who are in long-term relationships, getting married, having kids. I'm okay with being out of sync with them because I've always been slightly out of sync with everyone. I don't want to conform to their decisions, because that's not the path my life, that's not the journey, that's not my path, it's not my journey, it's not how my life has gone. I'm a product of the choices that I've made, and the choices that have faced me and are facing me most recently are some of the biggest of my life, and I can try to ignore it, but it's just not going away, and it won't go away. So that's kind of where I'm at the moment. It's a messed up place. So do I keep applying for jobs, or do I just call it quits? And if I do call it quits, I suppose I have to look at what I can afford to do for December. I mean, I think ultimately what I want to do is probably not going to happen. I mean, short term. I mean, long term, my ideal goal would be to be creating content day in, day out. But even now that I have that time, I'm not doing it. Which is just, I think it's just a fault of my own. I mean, a personality flaw. But beyond that, I think immediately what I'd like to do is probably go work for my cousin in Vegas, but I don't know if their business could support that, and I don't know. I keep questioning even my decision to come here. I had my motivations to get out of Melbourne, that I have no regrets. Actually, that's one thing I'm sure of. I have no regrets. But I'm questioning the decision to leave Melbourne. Questioning my motivations. I know what they were. I'm not going to share them because I don't think I'll ever forget it, and I don't want to reveal that part, at least not now. I don't feel comfortable with it. But I'm lacking motivation to stay. I'm lacking motivation to go. Actually, no, I kind of have a little bit of a motivation to go, but I'm just... That's enough. I will probably delve onto this subject again, but that's enough for today. I've got other things to do.